No.
You might notice there's a little bit more arm room here today. You're welcome. I took out a chair.
He didn't notice that all.
I did.
Hi, Gary.
Used to hang out.
I put mine in the.
How are you, sir? Good. I've already forwarded your email and newsletter to 3 separate constituents who are like, Jim Whitehouse, I don't know if he's reached out to you. He reached out to me about roads and local streets, and I'm like, I know the guy you need to talk to.
How are you?
All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call our study session to order. It is 6:31 p.m. If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, if you'll take roll call for us, please.
Councilmember Williams.
Present.
Reed. Here. Stewart.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Davis.
Here.
Brent.
Here.
And Mayor Snyder.
Here. Our study session is to discuss items that we will need approval at our regular session. So first on the agenda will be approve the applications for boards and commissions, Nora Jackson for DDA and reappointment to the Recreation Commission. And then Mayor Pro Tem Andy French for the EDC. Do we have any questions or comments on these applications? All right,
What you got here?
yep, go
I
ahead.
have questions. I have question for Councilman French. Councilman French, everybody make sure you got your mics on, please. Sorry. Councilman French, glad that you're interested in joining the EDC board. And thank you for your service here on our council as well. With joining the EDC board, being familiar with some of the projects that they had ongoing, the industrial park, as well as supporting the 40+ units of housing that the gentleman had came in from Norfolk to discuss previously. What's your position on those projects moving forward?
So with any service, the first part of my position will be learning as much as I can. I don't have any opposition to any of the programs or projects that are ongoing at the moment, although I would like very much to dig into the 425 project more to see if it's as good a deal as we think it's going to be. And I just have to learn more about the details that I'm not privy to. But if I look at what the EDC is focused on, I think it's commendable and really worthwhile. I think that previous leadership and the current board focusing not only on attracting new businesses, but also providing opportunities for growth in our population through housing development is a vital part of our future success, because we don't have the housing stock that, well, no one in this country has the housing stock necessary to grow and economically in a particular community. So we need to address that. So the fact that we've had numerous organizations come forward with proposals to build new housing stock, I'm all for it. Because I think without it, we're not being as effective as we can be to advance the economic future of our city. So in respect to that, anybody that we can get to be willing to build in Albion housing or build businesses, I think is worth a look. And so I fully support that.
Thank you.
I guess my own concern would be, I think with, it would be 3 council people that would be on the EDC board at that time, when I would like to see more people from the community be able to be on it. And I would also like to ask a question, because I had 2 people that 1.5 years ago I had talked with about being on the EDC board, I think right after Mr. Zimmerman came. And they said that they had applied, but they were never contacted. Mr. Jock Short and Mr. Nate Folded. And I was just wondering what was the problem there?
So who else is on council that's also on the EDC board?
Well, last time it was the city manager, you, and then it would be him, which would be three.
City manager is not a voting,
It's not going to be on,
and Haley was never a voting member either.
pardon,
I said Haley was never a voting member either.
not a voting member, but she was.
City managers are expected to go to EDC meetings because there's a lot of projects. Things that, go on in the community.
I
that the
understand.
city manager has to be involved with and has to have to say in. But, so you said there was 3 members. But there's not.
Oh, well, I would just like to see more people from the community who are interested.
And I had talked to Ms. Ammerman about the applicants that had come forth, and we agreed upon certain qualifications that we would like to see from the candidates that we didn't see from those. So
That she didn't tell me though.
any other questions or comments? All right, moving on. Next will be the discussion of the water improvement for the rates and the project itself. City manager, do you want
Yes.
to take this one?
Yes. Madam Mayor, members of council and members of the public, one of the discussion items that will take place tonight at our regular council meeting is the information that the city has intentions of issuing bonds. In other words, we're going to be borrowing money, make improvements to our infrastructure. The city administration plans to go through a little bit of detail explaining the term of the bonds, the time frame, and the amounts of money and how it will affect our residents, both residents and commercial businesses. We think that this is a very good move toward improvements. The administration will also talk about how the rates and a proposed rate increase will affect our citizens, which is very important for this board to know. And so, again, we'll be getting into a little bit of the details of how these borrow money. It's unlike what each one of us can do individually, as far as walking into a bank. Municipalities can't do that. So we issue bonds, and I'll get into those details with a little bit more specificity. So that's it. All I have.
Any questions for our city manager?
Sorry. Can you just briefly remind me, how much in millions of dollars are we hoping? Is it like 2 to 6 or something? I can't remember how much we're asking.
I think the total project is around 22. Dave,
Yeah, so we're trying to, the USDA pulled out the funding. It's a little under $11 million.
Okay,
So we're going after the sale of bonds to replace that.
okay,
It's gonna be just under $11 million.
okay.
So
Thank
it's
you.
the same funding we wanted to get, just had to go at
That's more, right, okay.
Councilman Stewart?
City Manager Terry, you mentioned that there were multiple bonds, or it sounded like you said multiple bonds, or are we just talking about one?
just one tonight.
Thank you. And have we considered any kind of other alternative funding source? I'm guessing the answer is yes, but
Yes,
will you cover any of that during the meeting tonight, or?
yes.
Councilman Williams?
Yeah, I would probably also add that with this not being so extensive, I mean, we probably can discuss a little bit further now. That way we don't have to later, but, okay, so we were looking forward to the $11 million in funding from the USDA, and now we've lost that opportunity. How does the bonding for $11 million affect us as taxpayers?
So it's a revenue bond. The revenue bond represents that we're pledging future revenues from a specific source to pay back those bonds. In this particular case, the revenue, that's being generated will be through rates, water rates, and those rates will bring in, are calculated to bring in sufficient revenue to cover not only the principal, but also the interest on those bonds. So it will result in a proposed rate increase, and that we'll get into the more detail about that. And then also during my report, would like to talk to city council about a more accurate and equitable way of collecting those rates through better water meter usage.
As mentioned previously.
Yes.
Now, the 11 million that we were potentially going to receive from the USDA before, was that also a bond?
No, that was going to be in the form of a grant.
That was a grant we
And,
wouldn't pay back.
That's when they say that well, go ahead, Dave, go ahead.
That is actually gonna be a loan and it's used as you need it, you'll get the money up front. So that was gonna be a loan from the USDA. But they backed out of it, so now we have to sell bonds to replace that. And so it's just a different avenue of borrowing the money. We'll get that money up front, we get earn interest on it as we pay down the bonds over time.
Dave, if I recall, they were going to be a lender of last resort, where based on income levels and capability of the community, they would have been loan forgiveness,
Right,
which in turn would have been a grant.
okay.
Director Clark, why did they back out? Why did they?
I think it was for a go and get funding elsewhere, because right now we're not sure what's gonna be available because of the change in the presidency. And they pretty much put a stop on grants for now, so we really couldn't commit to it. So we can more down the road if that was going to be available. In the meantime, we have to get going, because we have the project that started. And so we need to get the funding done quickly. We better start with data maybe at the end of April to complete everything. But I think we're going to go for that.
And what you're saying is the total amount would have been received, or was it in stages?
The money from the USDA is used as contracts
Oh,
or as the work is done.
okay, that's
So we
okay.
sell the bonds, revenue shows up first, then we pay it out over time, we pay back the bonds over time.
Okay.
But we get the money up front, which allows us to invest it, which helps us earn interest along the way. We're gonna be able to do that with USDA bond, USDA loans.
Councilman Stewart.
So I'm also trying to understand it. And Donovan, to your point, I think it might make sense for us to discuss a little more just to save time in the other session, but we don't want to lose track of the other agenda items. But when I look at the numbers, I'm not seeing how it adds up to the 11. And I'm also wondering, so from the one that we didn't get, is it somewhat like a drawdown where you,
No.
let's see, the one we didn't get was not a drawdown?
Yes, it was. That's what he just described. Yes.
Right. And so, and then I'm at the current one that we're proposing, and I know you said we get it up front, but to me, it looks like we get it every year, kind of up front. How does it come in at one time?
So when bonds are issued, and it depends on the issuance, all of the money that we're borrowing in this particular case in full, that $11 million or whatever the amount is, will come directly to the city.
From where, excuse me, but from where?
Okay, so we sell the bonds in the open market. We have to have a bond, okay,
That's what I wondered. I get it now.
Okay.
I just wasn't sure who the funding source was. So it's a public sale of the bonds in the.
That's correct.
market. Thank you.
Any questions on this item? Right, next, we're gonna be asked to approve the updated attorney retainer agreement. Any questions on that?
I got a question.
Okay.
Is the date wrong at the top? Was that supposed to be updated as well? Or was it?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure. Okay, and we're changing it.
It's just taking the rate from 105 to 110.
Gotcha.
Catch. Councilman Williams.
Yeah, no problem. Just want to make sure I wasn't looking at an old document.
And just so council,
A little bit.
so council's aware, because obviously we're already into February, I set up a start date to be March 1.
Okay.
Any other questions, or comments? Right. Next, we'll be at approve who will be attending conference in March. So this is part of some of the training workshops. So if we have nominations, we'll look at that going forward.
Let's train our guys.
Yes, we got 2 new folks, so possibly if those dates work for them, that's when we'll discuss that.
So are you referring to the MML convention or the conference?
So there is a conference in March that's in Lansing, and then the full conference in the fall. So there's 2 different
Conventions, yes. And, you know, I didn't get the focus, so, because I think I'd gone to both at one time or the other. But my understanding is the conference is more of the training component for MML, as well as the convention in the fall. Basically, that's where cities, you know, bring projects and, you know, awards are given and things like that. Just, am I correct?
So I've never been to the one in March. That usually is a conflict at work for me to say.
Yeah.
Councilman Williams.
Yep, I went last year and there's a lot of breakout sessions where so you may go to one breakout session and there's developers who do, let's say, affordable housing or disabled or senior housing, and they speak about how they're working with the local municipality and what's working in that community. There's also the municipal women lunch, and also there's other breakout sessions where they handle specific topics, but not a training.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a training either.
Yeah.
Training, okay.
Yeah.
These are good though, because they give you a lot of information about what other communities are doing too.
Yeah.
That's interesting
Yeah,
to know.
and it's great networking as
Well,
well.
both of them are.
Mhm.
Great networking and learning what others are doing, so.
And it's been a long time since I went to one, but when I went to the spring meeting, there was a whole section of that on new council people in the state. And so you'd all get together with your newly elected people and figure out what it is that you're doing and get a little bit of advice from people at both MML, but also other city council members who've been on for a while. So I would recommend the March meeting for sure.
Yeah, they always have the newly elected people in Lansing too there.
Yeah.
So you get a chance to meet them. You also have work sessions with them. So I want to go to March. I think I already emailed you.
All right.
Yeah, I think I would like to go to the convention in September.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Both of them are.
You all you kind of answered my questions. I wasn't sure what we would find at the conference, and I've looked online at the education, and I haven't been able to find a date yet that would for the online onboarding kind of thing. But I intend to do that online. So I wasn't sure. So thank you, because that's the kind of questions I had is it worthwhile?
Oh, it's worthwhile.
Well, and I would also say that I don't feel strongly about going, but if you think it's a good
Oh, yeah,
idea,
there you go.
okay. And so you do feel strong.
I do feel very strongly. it's eye-opening, right?
Yeah, I think it's worthwhile.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been several years since I went, but the convention for sure, I enjoy those.
All right, moving on. Next, we will have an update from Deputy Chief Kern, but I think we'll keep that to regular council. The next we'll have a discussion on ordinance 2016-01, the sale of obsolete property. Since this is the discussion item as well, we will save that to the regular meeting. So at this time, if there is anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council, you may do so at this time. Just give us your name, address, and 3 minutes is yours.
Madam Mayor. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. How are you this evening? How is everybody this evening?
Going well.
All right, interim city manager, Mr. Terry, and certainly Clerk Domingo, folks in the gallery and those watching this evening. Good evening, Gary Tompkins, your County Commissioner. It's great to see you folks again. I know I won't take much of your time because I know things are rocking and rolling around. Absolutely. Just a few things. First and foremost, my newsletter's back out for those of you that did get it. Hopefully you found it very informative. Roads, right there, roads, exactly, roads. We all talk about roads, right? I'm right back on that again, and I will continue to do so because it's going to be necessary for us to do that. You guys have heard a lot about a lot of things going on at the Capitol with additional revenue, you taking from other sources and putting it. But the one thing that nobody talks about is the very process and the symptom that's really the problem, which is Act 51, which limits our ability to get the money we need to right to the service of the roads. So again, I'm going to continue that process on your behalf, and I'm not going to, till they get tired of me, till they beat me down, I'm going to continue to do so. But I really think it's there. This is in that newsletter as well as all of the county millages, so that you know exactly what you're paying for. So I have links on those particular items so that you can see exactly where your money's going on which as you pay your county millages. As opposed to, I also took the opportunity to be part of Dr. Daly's 100th birthday celebration, which was absolutely phenomenal as well. Real quickly on the county situation though, real quickly, and I apologize. Chair and vice chair, we did decide who our chair and vice chair for the next term is going to be. Unanimously selected as chairman was Derek King from District 5. And for the vice chairmanship of the thing, Commissioner Saxton received 5 votes. I received 2 votes. So Commissioner Saxton is the vice chair from District 6, which we congratulate them, and I look forward to working with them, with each one of my colleagues, certainly at the county level. So we've got a lot of things that we need to get done. But again, if you're interested in my newsletter, please drop me a line at Tompkins, TOMPKINS CC7@gmail.com. And I'll repeat it one more time, Tompkins, TOMPKINS CC7@gmail.com. Let me know if you're interested. Your email will be totally discreet. Nobody sees your email except for myself. I take very much pride in making sure your privacy is of the utmost importance. But again, it's a great way to know what's going on in the 7th district on our side of the county, as well as County as a whole. And, you know, if there's suggestions and things you want to see, let me know, because I'm totally open to that. I think it's important for us to make sure that you guys need to understand I'm always here to work for you guys. Know me, I've been in the past, but it's important for me to work. And we're talking about the housing situation, you guys talking about housing issues. It's everywhere. You're correct. It is. It's a necessity. And it's something that's on one of my pillars to look at and what we can do to assist in that as well. So with that being said, didn't mean to take your time. Certainly appreciate you guys each and every time. And again, don't hesitate to reach out if you need something. I'm always here to serve you guys. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Jerry,
it.
thank you. I appreciate the newsletter. It's very informative. So
Very
yeah.
informative, yes.
Do we have any questions for our commissioner? Anybody else like to stand and address council? All right, seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Study session adjourned, 6:55 PM. Be back in 5 minutes, please.